For the past week, the entire Dead by Daylight community has been enthralled with a single question: Springtrap or Pinhead? While it's been fun watching the tinfoil wearing Chow Chows chase their own tails, their curiosity is admittedly contagious. Like many others, I soon found myself wondering about this wild goose chase. However, unlike all the others, I wasn't wondering if we were getting the undead spirit trapped in metal or the undead spirit trapped in metal. I, fresh off of all the copyright mumbo jumbo that YouTube has been pushing me ever since my videos hit the algorithm, had two simple questions. The first being, is this even legal? And the second being, could we use copyright laws to solve this case once and for all? Alright, hold up. Before we go any further, mandatory legal disclaimer stating that I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a law student, I am not in any way studying or practicing law. I've never studied law in the past, and since I have a life, I'd like to keep it that way. Everything I discuss in this video is the fruits of my online research, which was all done in a time span of 6 hours after consuming enough caffeine to power a small Ethiopian village for a week. Alright, now that that's taken care of, how could this even be illegal? Primarily, I was concerned about potential copyright violations in terms via the usage of some objects that are clearly designed to resemble Springtrap and/or his silhouette. The first case of this was the figure in the rocks in the background of one of the first letter reveal posts. However, this wouldn't be much of a case, as this is clearly just a rock, and that one is totally okay with the law because it's not a direct use of any FNAF imagery, and even if the silhouette was close enough to warrant a legal examination, behavior has plenty of plausible deniability, and the fact that it's made out of rocks, and if things absolutely hit the fan, they could just claim it was an accidental byproduct of the camera angle they chose. What about the most recent teaser? This most recent teaser features two examples of potential Springtrap-esque imagery, one in the static and one in the dirty TV screen. Starting with the one seen in the TV's dirty screen, there is a lot of potential information in this photo that I did a separate video on, which should be out by now, so I'd highly recommend you check that video out after this one if you haven't already seen it. Unfortunately though, there's nothing provable beyond a reasonable doubt, so behavior gets away with it again. The image in the static, however, depending on who you ask, is either the most evident or reachy use of an animatronic's silhouette. I personally can see the animatronic, probably because I've spent 2 energy drinks worth of time staring at these things' faces while speedrunning my way through the FNAF wiki. Don't do it, kids. It's not fun. And I've tried the best to highlight it with my Bob Rossian levels of artistic talent for those who can't see it. If this image is intentional, that could make this image the root that any legal issues may stem from. This image by far is the most accurate depiction of a FNAF character we've seen, but it still only vaguely resembles a surprising amount of the characters in the FNAF series. That makes this a strange case where it would be hard to prove which character it was supposed to be if it was supposed to be one at all. It's also the most deniable, as static patterns are often random and possibly even automatically created, allowing for plenty of room for plausible deniability from behavior's part. So if everything's legal, then there's no way we can use the copyright laws to try and determine who it is. Is there? There absolutely still is. While we might not be able to use the laws to discover the license by identifying anything they've shown that would be illegal without a license, that doesn't mean we can't make inferences based off of what they haven't shown. What do I mean by that? Hear me out, just after I put on a tinfoil sombrero. We are well without the realm of reality at this point. While there's a lot of evidence pointing to Pinhead, we have yet to actually see anything directly related to or derivative of the Pinhead or Hellraiser properties specifically. What about the pin and the target, I hear you asking? Pins aren't exclusive to Pinhead and are a common, non-distinguishable item that cannot be copyrighted on their own. If anything, their design can be patented, however that is irrelevant to the topic at hand. The flowers in the static, you could make a stronger case for them being protected, however these are also not copyrighted, and if you take a frame-by-frame look at the flowers and compare them to the flowers from Hellraiser, you'd see that the two are actually incredibly different. With Hellraiser's flowers being videos of red flowers blooming interrupted by static, while the flowers in the trailer are non-changing blotches that appear very briefly in a field of static. So, while behavior in general has been really safe with the possible FNAF hints, they have been way less direct and way safer with their Pinhead hints, and the fact that they've shown nothing unique or owned to the franchise. So if you want to know who I think is coming to Dead by Daylight, you're gonna have to wait just a little bit longer while I provide one more angle to this whole mess. Negotiating licensing contracts is an incredibly difficult line of work, where if you're in behavior shoes, you really want to be in the best of graces possible while in a negotiation. If Company A learns that behavior used their company's work to promote another company, Company B's, franchise, even if indirectly, that would definitely hurt behavior's chances of getting Company A's license at all, let alone at a good price. So if you were to ask me if I think we're getting a TSA agent's worst nightmare or a crusty carrot consumer in Dead by Daylight, I would simply ask, why not both?